I hadn't planned on saying this. I actually blame it on Ezra because Ezra didn't have a story and I said horses and it's all over after that. But listen to me. Are you guys aware of this thing called dressage? Do you know about this thing about hobby horses? Have you seen the hobby horse revolution? Have we talked about this?
You showed me an I Love video one time.
I have like 6 stories. If you've known me for any length of time, this one will eventually come up. In fact, we probably will have extra time tonight, and I may have to show you the hobby horse revolution. It is a thing. Girls and boys and anybody who wants to, actually doesn't matter your gender, but there were girls featured in this particular video, ride hobby horses, which are the horse head things made of leather on a stick that you ride around in competitions. They make up, Abby, you can speak to this. They make up synchronized routines, like a ballet. And they ride around and they go through like in an expo center, like at the state fair, and they ride around and they go over obstacle courses and they go around and they ride their hobby horses, and it's a thing. And they found belonging. It's important. All right. This is so exciting. We have a few more people joining us. I should have made a bet with myself. How many 7th and 8th graders will be here? All right. Our first assignment for tonight is, while there are no pastors here, I have to plug in my phone. I'm going to warn you that before we leave here, we're going to come up with at least 10 questions to grill the pastors next week. And it's just us. And so you can, if you have questions for grill the pastors, you can start writing them in the chat, and I'll keep it. I'll keep the chat. If you don't write questions in the chat that we can ask them about next week, all 3 are going to be here. I will come up with something to help you ask questions of them. It'll be very good. I'm glad you're all here. If you're brave, you can turn on your camera. If you've had a day, you don't want to turn on your camera, you don't have to. It doesn't matter. I'll tell you about my day because I'm just killing a little bit of time here for no good reason. Here we go. Number 1, it's St. Patrick's Day. Number 2, this right here. You can't see it, but it hurts. It hurts. This one right here, because of the Moderna. I had my first shot today. I went to the Walmart in Shakopee. It's no big deal. They didn't ask. And I wouldn't have necessarily qualified this early, but thank you for those questions in the chat, by the way. I feel like I'm doing a telethon. Probably don't even know what telethons are. I didn't qualify this early. It's not like I have a medical condition, but if I did, it's not anyone's business, but I would tell you, but I don't. But I started a second job at a grocery store, and it's more complicated than that. I'll tell you about it in a little bit. But I just happened to have started the second job, working a part-time job, get some spending money so I could buy candy for my dogs, just for myself. I don't buy candy. I haven't eaten sugar since January 4th. And that qualified me because now I'm essential. Before I must not have been. Anyways, it's going off. This is a big part of my day. Okay, so I got my shot and then I started this new job today. I did my training online and I work as an in-store shopper for DoorDash at Fresh Time. And I actually work for a company called Market Source. It's very complicated, but all I do is if you order groceries from Fresh Time using DoorDash in Bloomington, I'll probably be running around the store, putting it in the basket and checking it out and putting it in a bag, and then the dasher person in the car comes and gets it. I don't deliver it. I just go shopping. And it was so glorious, people. I just have to tell you, and I will get to the Bible part, but I just want you to know, I was very nervous about this thing. I don't know why. I had to psych myself up. I was nervous about it. Going in there, I had no idea what to expect. And there was not one single order all day. Not even one. Nope, not even one. And my supervisor who was there, she's a very nice lady. Tonight we're talking about, if you're just joining us, please type your questions in the chat for the Grill the Pastors next week. Same time, just for a half hour. Anything that you can think of. It doesn't have to be about the Bible. It could be, I like this one. What languages do you speak? Anything like that. Any questions that you'd like to know, anything personal. Thank you for doing that. That is excellent. Does anybody want to share a high and low for the day? Does anybody have any highlights? Anything good happened to you?
For my school, Wednesday we basically don't have school, and it's kind of awesome.
Today or next week?
No, every Wednesday. It's great. It's like we have advisory, which is like a homeroom thing at like 9 o'clock in the morning, and that's it. And
Is this SBA or what?
Yeah, it's SBA. It's really weird. We're a weird school, but you know,
It's so
great.
cool.
And then low, I don't know. It was a good day. Yeah.
Wow, Wednesdays. That's a good planning. Whoever thought of that is a good plan because Wednesdays are a difficult day. Anybody else have a highlight or a low light to share? You don't even have to come on camera. You can just unmute.
Today was my first day back at school in person. So that was exciting.
It was good?
It was awesome.
Nice. Where do you go to school?
Today I got
Roseville Area Middle School.
Sweet. Sorry, Aiden, go ahead.
Today I got to use a giant spotlight for play practice.
Are you on the tech team?
Yeah.
Is this something the public can come see when it's ready?
Yes, we have shows tomorrow, Friday, and Saturday.
Oh, people, you didn't tell me about this. Next time, if any of you are ever in a play or something, you got to tell me so I can take off work. I don't have to sit there at DoorDash. I can be coming to your play. Oh, I wish you luck. That's awesome. I love being on tech for the plays. I also loved performing, as you could tell. Okay, anybody else? One more highlight or low light?
Today was kind of boring because we have in-person school, and because it's a Catholic school, we had to have mass today. It was Wednesday also, and all the terrible classes are on Wednesday. Yeah.
All right, that's. I get it. That's fine. That's good. Thank you for sharing that. Thank you, everybody. Well, we're gonna do our lesson, and then I didn't have a huge plan. I didn't even make a PowerPoint. You guys won't die. Here's the actual lesson that if you were a leader you would get. It says zombies, ghosts, angels, and demons. And I'm not going to read this to you, but if we were meeting in person, you would be in a small group and you would get to choose. Oh, first of all, I will do the opening prayer. Let's pray. This is a good idea to pray. Dear Jesus, you surprise us with grace. You shower us with your mercy. Thank you for this group and our time together. Bless us tonight. We pray. Amen. And women. You would be in a group and you would get to choose of these 5 stories: Saul and the Witch of Endor, Simon the Sorcerer, demons in a herd of pigs, strange handwriting on the wall, or angels play trumpets to unsuspecting farmers, which you have heard. It's called the Christmas story. Because the Bible does say things about like sorcerers, and as I just read, and surprisingly to some of you, maybe you didn't know that. And so I thought what we would do is I'm just going to choose for us. I'm going to close this. If you can even see that, it doesn't matter. We're going to do the Witch of Endor. If you have your Bibles, otherwise I'm just going to share this little, I don't think I'm going to read the whole chapter though. Let me move this little thing here. Okay. This is in the Old Testament. So before Jesus, after Moses, though. So you have the 10 Commandments, that whole story. This is after Noah and the ark. This is after Jacob and Esau. It's after Abraham almost killing his son Isaac. And we've got King David. Let's see, this is before King. I know it says David. Yeah, we got a King David at this point. We got a King David situation. He's the king. And Samuel is a prophet. And okay, so here I'll just pick this up here. Samuel had died. He's the prophet. He's like the minister. And all of Israel mourned him and buried him in Ramah, his hometown. And Saul, the bad king, had banned all mediums and diviners in the land. That means, yeah, you know, witches and people who do divination. You guys know about these things because you watch movies. The Philistines, this is the enemy of Israel, gathered their forces and advanced to the camp at Shunem, and Paul gathered all Israel, and they camped at Gilboa. We don't have a map. I don't know what they're talking about, neither do you. Saul saw the Philistine army. He was so afraid his heart beat wildly. This is like me before work today. When Saul questioned the Lord didn't answer him, not by dreams, not by the Urim, not by prophets. Urim, I think Urim was like rolling dice, but I'm not positive. It was some weird game. Saul said to his servants, "Find me a woman who communicates with ghosts, and then I'll go to her and ask by using her techniques." That's right. He's trying to find a ghost. It's in the Bible. "There is such a witch in Endor," his servants replied. So traditional Bibles will say witch, but this one says medium. I don't know why they're trying not to offend someone. Saul disguises himself, dressing in different clothes, and he and 2 men set out going to the woman at nighttime. "Please call up a ghost for me. Bring me the one I specify." Saul said. "Listen," the woman said to him, "you know what Saul has done and how he's banned all the witches and diviners from the land. What are you doing? Trying to get me killed?" But Saul promised to her by the Lord, "As surely as the Lord lives, you won't get into trouble for this." So the woman said, "Who do you want me to bring up for you?" "Bring up Samuel," he said. Oh, yes. It's because he just died, right? Are you with me? The woman saw Samuel. She screamed at Saul, "Why have you tricked me? You are Saul." "Don't be afraid," the king said to her. "What do you see?" The woman said to Saul, "I see a god coming up from the ground." "What does he look like?" Saul asked her. "An old man is coming up," she said. "He's wrapped in a robe." Then Saul knew that it was Samuel, and he bowed low out of respect, nose to the ground. Wow, don't hurt yourself. Verse 15, "Why have you disturbed me by bringing me up?" Samuel asked Saul. "I'm in deep trouble," Saul replied. "The Philistines are at war with me, and God has turned away from me and no longer answers me by prophets or by dreams. So I have called on you to tell me what to do." Oh, okay. "Why do you ask me?" Samuel said. "Since the Lord has turned away from you and has become your enemy, the Lord has done to you exactly what he spoke through me." Long story. You're just going to have to trust me. That is what happened. "The Lord has ripped the kingdom out of your hands and given it to your friend David." They were not friends, by the way. That is fake. "The Lord has done this very thing to you today because you don't listen to the Lord's voice and didn't carry out his fierce anger against the Amalekites, who are another enemies. The Lord will now hand over both you and Israel to the Philistines, and come tomorrow, you and your sons will be with me. In other words, dead. The Lord will hand Israel's army over to the Philistines, all dying." Saul suddenly fell full length on the ground, utterly terrified at what Samuel had said. He was weak because he hadn't eaten anything all day or night. Kind of like me at work today, but I had planned for it. I brought water. I did have 2 cheese sticks with me, but I was too embarrassed to eat them because I'll get back to that later, maybe. I know. Can you believe it? I was embarrassed about something. 21. The woman approached Saul. After seeing how scared he was, she said, "Listen, your servant has obeyed you. I risked my life and did what you told me to do. Now it's your turn to listen to me, your servant. Let me give you a bit of food. Eat it, and then you'll have the strength to go on your way." But Saul refused. "I can't eat," he said, but his servants and the woman urged him to do so, and so he did. He got up off the ground and sat on a couch, and the woman had fattened calf in the house. What? Oh, and she quickly butchered it. This lady's house is black. She took flour, kneaded it, and baked unleavened bread. You know how long it takes to make bread? This guy's waiting a while. She served this to Saul and his servants. They ate, and they got up that very night. The word of the Lord, yo. There's a lot that just happened there. 47 minutes after the hour. I read the whole thing. And by the way, if our pastors read like that on Sundays, we'd have 50 million people tuning in online. Here's some questions to study the passage. Okay, tell me, you guys can chime in here. You can unmute or just unmute. Don't do the chat. You could do it. It's not, we're friends. Do we learn anything about God in this passage? Does anybody have any thoughts on that? What do we learn about God in this passage? Oh, there's a ton about God, actually. Well, actually, you might have to let you off the hook on that. I'm not sure. Does anybody have any? Did anybody see anything about God in there? Let's do the next one. What do we learn about the nature of the paranormal or supernatural? First of all, is this a true story? Like, here's the thing. I guess I didn't really say this. Is the Bible historical? Like, is it it's, there's a book called Chronicles. Is it like the Chronicles, like, of truth? Or are these like, how do you interpret this? Are these like the Chronicles of Narnia, where it's like, oh, it's a fable about being good? Or how do you guys interpret that? I would like to know.
I kind of think that like parts of the Bible are like historical, and then parts are like not. So, like some of them are like actual history, and some are like fables and stuff.
Yeah. Anybody else have an opinion on this? So Peter, what would you is this one like very possibly a historical one, or is it an allegory?
In my mind, I think this is like a fable kind of thing. I don't know. I just kind of like guess which one to see what makes most sense for me, and this one seems like a fable to me.
Yeah, I'll go with that. I think that's kind of a good assumption. Like in general, there's stories that maybe the writer possibly, like, this is one way to look at it. Like whoever wrote this down, I don't know if it was Samuel, even though the book is named after this person. They were trying to make sense of something, so they, it was an oral tradition, so they passed on their stories, and maybe this one was for the kiddos, and they're like, I'm gonna tell you a scary story around the campfire, and they had to keep the kids interested, or they'd fall asleep, or they would turn off their videos, and then they would know if they were listening or not. What about what does this story, maybe what is this story trying to communicate about the nature of the paranormal or the supernatural? I'll ask it again. Do we learn anything about what the Bible wants us to think about the paranormal? I know it's a deep question. Drew, do you got something? Yeah, I'm trying to think how I would answer it. I guess I would say, like, there is life beyond death, maybe. Like, maybe the story's trying to say there is an afterlife. I don't know if we turn into ghosts or not. I mean, this would kind of say that we do. I'm kind of scared to believe that. Like we talked about last week, the Bible doesn't have the Christian and Jewish interpretations of it doesn't do a lot with the afterlife, but our friends, like if you study Native American spirituality or other religions, you might get more of a flavor of like maybe what the afterlife is all about besides just my pizza buffet. Let's see another question. Some of these questions on here are generic based on, like, if you did the handwriting on the wall story. Some of these don't really fit with these stories. Okay, well, let's do this one. Are there any dangers with the paranormal or the otherworldly aspects in this passage? Are we warned about anything? Like, are we told not to consult the Ouija board or ghosts or anything? Does it give a story like that? Does it a story about not calling up ghosts? Anybody have any thoughts?
I would say that's not like direct. Like I didn't hear them like directly say it, but I feel like it's kind of like a general tone. I can just kind of be implied.
Yeah, I have to take a picture of the attendance. Usually if we have two people, the other person's doing this. Yes, I think there might be a little warning not to be messing with that in the story. If you ever read the Simon the Sorcerer that one is from the New Testament. That is in Acts chapter 8. There's a warning there. So, what I want you to go home thinking about with this, first of all, just to know that there's some weird stuff in the Bible. And hopefully it sparks your imagination a little bit. It's something to study and wonder about. One of the questions we're not answering is God the good guy in this passage? Is God like the hero of the passage? And again, this one doesn't really answer. It's not exactly about God. All right, before I give you my two announcements tonight. So it says this, it may surprise you that a story like this is included in the Bible. There's nothing beyond God's knowing or God's reach. There's also no reason to fear any power that seems stronger than God, because there's no power stronger than God. That's right, until I wrote this. When Jesus came, he spoke truth to all the powers of darkness and overcame them. So remember in the Apostles' Creed where it says he descended to the dead. And in an old version of the Apostles' Creed, it says he descended into hell. And I kind of like that because for me, what it says to me is there is no place God's power and God's love hasn't gone or can't go or won't go. Like he even went to the grave. And that means Jesus is victorious over all those things. And for me, I want to know that my God has power over those things, and so that I don't have to be afraid, even though I am sometimes. So the thing about the cheese sticks, I'll just tell you, I could have been doing a lot of different type of training, but my supervisor didn't do it, and she put her earbuds in, and she brings a coloring book every day to work. So I don't know. I'll tell you more about this job as the summer goes on. She brings a coloring book. I wish I would have known. I'm going to be prepared for Saturday. This summer, you're going to get an email. You're going to get an email from me, maybe even tomorrow. I'm working on it. About our summer, we talked about last week called Right Time Wednesdays, where most of the Wednesdays we're going to go do some food justice work, and we're going to be working at food shelves or in gardening. We're going to be feeding people. And there's a sign up for that. We're getting t-shirts, and it's just around town. Most of it's going to have to be either you have to take the bus or get a ride there, because I don't know with COVID if we're allowed to share rides. Like if I don't think I can rent a van and drive you around. I have no idea. I'll find out, but I think we'll probably have to be meeting at places, but we'll find out. If I can drive people, I definitely would prefer to do that. I don't like going places by myself. I don't know where anything is. I'll meet you there though. We'll do some work together. So it's going to be for, I'm going to open it up so we get a good group going. I want anybody completing even 6th grade to enter in. So if you have any friends in that age bracket all the way up through graduation, we have a couple high schoolers helping with as interns. And it doesn't mean they're getting paid. It just means I'm giving them a title so they can put it on a college transcript. And they're going to be doing some work too. One other thing, because we have to go. We are returning to the church building at some point. I'm kind of pushing for after Memorial Day, but I have no say in this whatsoever. But I just like to yip and yap. Sometime this summer, we'll start phasing it back in and start live streaming in the building instead of pre-recording everything. And we need tech people. So if you're a person who loves to run cameras, yeah, Peter, or sound, or even wants to do some grunt work like laying cables and taping cables down on the floor, trying to make the room safe so grandma with a walker doesn't trip, etc. I ran camera for the funeral that was on Sunday. The family was allowed to bring like 13 people, and then it was like Pastor Javen, 2 sound people, me on a camera. There was a fixed camera. I really liked it. I mean, it was really fun. A funeral is not fun, but I'm like really looking forward to it. And then with the sanctuary redesign, we're still trying to review all the different kind of tech. But when that happens, there's going to be 5 or 6 cameras to do a live stream. And we're going to probably have a studio where like they're doing robotic cameras and stuff to get the best live stream. So we're going to need people like yourselves to sign up to do that. It'll be just like acolyting or ushering. It'll be a volunteer opportunity on Sundays, and I want us to start ASAP. So, okay, I am going to copy the chat, and then that solves my questions for next week. So I love you all. I am praying for you. Go to church now, and I will see you next week, 6:30. Thanks for coming. Don't give up on your dreams.